Hi, I'm Nancy Valentine Smith, and I am a medicine woman of the earth and of the stars. I call this time that we are in the thawing out time. Many of us are experiencing now the opportunity energetically for a big release, a melting, a thawing out of aspects of our being that have been frozen in certain timelines. This is occurring because we are moving into a new octave, a new realm that the fire horse energy is bringing through. This elemental force ally, the element of fire coming through, is bringing to us now the energy and the ability to melt, to thaw out those frozen timelines. So these frozen timelines, as it starts to thaw out, moves us through the passages of grief. I've been experiencing this for the last couple of weeks, a few weeks now. It's been pretty intense. And I know many are also going through this in their own way. This is a powerful time for us because what's occurring is also a deep shift in those lower energy centers, but in particular our solar plexus, and also around our throat and thymus energy center, spaces where grief is held. And as this energy starts moving from us, we're going to feel a movement in our consciousness where we're going to start feeling more space. It is a really strong time because as we're going through this, there are a few things that are occurring. One of those happenings in our being is that we are almost like energetically in our emotions and our thoughts going through a bit of a revision, looking back. And we're doing this naturally. We're doing this as a byproduct of the process that we're in. So please remember, if there's a lot of thoughts coming up and a lot of feelings of discomfort, a lot of feelings of overwhelm, of regrets, of sometimes to certain aspects of judgment, of self-judgment, please know that what you're feeling or thinking is connected to this thawing out process. Because what's thawing out is these frozen timelines. In particular, these timelines are connected to our inner child. Our inner child in the time span of 7 years old to 14, 15 years old. This time was a big initiation time on our journey of evolving. There was specific sacred light, geometric structures that were activated during these times. In particular, around 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So from 7, let's say 7 till 12, that 11, 12, is when there was a lot of acceleration in us being activated, receiving, seeing, learning, and so on. Because during those times, what happens in our growth, in our cellular growth, in our light growth, starts at 7 years old and peaks around 10, 11 years old, is that there is an activation that occurs in our crown energy center and our third eye energy center. And so we receive a lot of light downloads, a lot of light consciousness. There is this strong, powerful initiation that occurs in our crown energy center and our third eye. Now, what also happens on a very 3D level in our life at that time, in our family, in the community, and so on, that many experience trauma, shock, certain events that overwhelm us, that glitch us in many ways. So because of these events, what happens naturally for us to be able to sort of cope is we freeze. We go into a space of trying to survive. So we go into the realm of freezing, of a frozen consciousness. So that timeline becomes frozen. Because there are two things happening. One is that from the higher energy centers, from the higher realms, we are receiving a lot of light through the activation of our crown and third eye. And that for some, they might be experiencing certain events and experience in their everyday life, in their family, at school, and so on. So when these two energies, these two polarized energies are occurring within us, it causes a circuit breaking, a fuse blowing out in our system. And so that time freezes. For example, during that time for me, my mother passed away. So the grief was overwhelming for me. And there were other events that was occurring around this time. So that time in its complexity, in its depth, was quite overwhelming for me, the child. And at the same time, I had been experiencing before her death an influx of high consciousness light from higher realms. So when this occurred, I automatically, unknowingly, through the vessel of survival, went into freeze, went into that space where I froze. This happens to many of us. So right now, with the fire horse energy coming through as we are approaching that threshold to move through, this is being thawed out. For that fire energy is assisting to clear that timeline. So what will occur is the expansion within our being without the obstruction and a distraction of that frozen timeline where that aspect of our inner child is being held in. During that time of 7 to 14, the earlier part, the 7 to around 10 years old, the activation of the crown and third eye was a very high light activation. So the way I like to put it to explain what was occurring was that at that time we were receiving an influx of light energy that I liken to our superpowers. We were receiving light superpowers energy. That's why at that age, we would have been feeling so much courage, so much excitement. It's a time where children play a lot, make believe, visualize, have dreams of great adventure, of a lot of excitement about their life, their journey, where we felt invincible. This is because of that activation, where we could dream quite big, and we did have big dreams of being a famous movie star or a famous singer or the best soccer player or riding on dragons or spending time with the fairies. All this creative pulse and energy was occurring because of the activation in the crown and third eye. And this happens at this age. Now, that light energy, a lot of times for many, was affected and impacted by the three-dimensional reality and what was happening around, and also what might have occurred towards you and the experience or events. So right now, as we move into the fire horse realm, all this is being thawed and melting. So we're being thawed out. We're going through a thawing out process. So that activation we received as a child will come back online. That passageway we are going through, which is predominantly the passageway of grief, is a passageway we need to go through. Because grief as an energy loosens and releases those frozen moments, those frozen timelines. And as it releases, we are moving into more of a softer, gentler, expansive space into the path of the heart. Everything that is occurring within us and on the planet is about the resurrection of the Divine Mother, of Mother Earth, Mother Nature, everything. What's happening with us when we move through these initiation phases, these ascension processes? We are freeing the energies of disconnection, of not belonging. We are moving on the path of the heart, remembering and returning into the great sacred circle of the Divine Mother. everything that's occurring within us is the medicine to assist what's occurring on the planet. So that part of us that had the activation of the superpowers light is in this process of returning to the sacred circle within us, within you. And that is that inner child that has no doubt about the divine, about source light, about magic, about believing, and so on. This is a really, really important time. You might also be feeling, because of what's occurring in the external reality on the planet, you might be also experiencing or feeling in this time a lot of glitches of sudden shifts and movements in the consciousness that you are either in or witnessing. All of that is moving through the byways and highways within our being, within the nervous system, traveling through those spaces. So we feel it physically. This thawing out, again, I'm going to say it, is a powerful process because it's returning. It's assisting in us returning, but it is also returning the treasures, the wisdom of our inner child. It is the wisdom of our innocence returning to us in the present moment. The thawing out brings the inner child here to us, to you, brings your inner child back to you in the present moment. And when the different aspects return to the great sacred circle within, then what occurs is a deep, powerful activation of the stars and of the earth within you to move to higher grounds. The innocence of wisdom in its activation that has no doubts, all alignment and attunement and knowing to the higher self will be fully activated. So this is what we are in, entering the fire horse time. Be gentle and be kind with yourself. Be gentle and be kind when there are certain thoughts and feelings. You haven't gone backwards. You are just thawing out and releasing and transmuting that consciousness of being heard. You are grounded in your own being, in your own body and in your own mind, in your own feelings of higher self-discovery. You are grounded in your own being, here on earth and in the stars. You are a pillar of great light. And this is the divine truth and you are here now.